We are now recording. Okay, great. Woohoo! We're starting.
How are you, Dr. Gill? Tell me.
I'm great. And how are you, Pamela?
I am great also, and excited to bring what we're bringing to all of the people who have joined us, whether it's live or whether it's, via, a recording that we're going to do. We're trying to figure it all out because, our expertise is not in technology, but we do have a lot of expertise in the people that we know, and we're excited to, bring free of charge that to the people we care about. So, Dr. Gill and I, and with this IG Live, see, everybody can't see both of our screens.
Yeah.
So,
two people. We're going to play with it afterwards to see if we can get both of us on so that everybody can see us.
right.
So let me see if I can do that with something like. You have to go to my. I don't know if you have. If you can come to my the Pulsar Health IG webpage, and then I can connect you onto so it's all one stream. I don't know if that will work. Do you want to try it real quick?
Hey, you guys that are live on with me right now. I don't know, Dr. Gill, because they might not be connected with your thing, and so
okay,
we're just going to keep you on here. You can hear hopefully what we're doing. We'll get it figured out in the next day or two or whatever. Hang in there with us.
All right. So, but
and we'll give you the link of how to see what we're actually talking about.
People who are on the Pulsar site I can have them join me on the IG, and I can't have you join me right now, but you can have people join you on your IG too from whoever's watching. So,
or go to the Facebook page with Muse MediSpa and register real quick and get the link to actually get on the webinar. But if you don't right this second, no worries, because let's actually get to what we're talking about today and share what we're going to do so that we, respect everybody's time and keep it within our little time frame that we talked about. So, Dr. Gill,
okay,
is
I'm just adding it on Facebook. It might be going to my personal Facebook instead of Pulsar Health. I'll see if I can switch it over. But Facebook Live is starting too.
Okay, so while you're doing that, I'm just going to talk a little bit about what we're doing. Oh, God, you guys. I don't know about you, but for me, I own a small business. I am a woman who's 50 years old. I understand the fear that is going on within our society right now, both financially, emotionally, physically, the struggles that we're having. And there's like a flame lit within me that says, how can I take the community that I know and have access to and provide it to the people I care most about and who have trusted and relied on us free of charge as a service, because if we don't get together as humanity and protect each other and embrace each other right now, we won't be our best on the other side of this. So
a virtual embrace, because we're not allowed to hug.
It's a virtual embrace, and so we don't have it all figured out, and we're not perfect, and we're not trying to be. We're just wanting to be what we believe people need and get it out there as soon as possible and make it a win-win-win. Win for our patients, our clients, win for our businesses that we trust and rely on and we go to for our things, and win for us because we're doing what our hearts call us to, and that is to serve and protect and provide. So without a win-win-win situation, we don't win. And that's what we're doing. So forgive us for our imperfection, but trust us for our intention. And so Dr. Gill and I have aligned our forces to get you guys some incredible
Yeah, we have a great lineup. This week we have before we tell you about the people this week, let's just tell you a little bit about us and and as Pam said, you know why we're doing it. We want to reach out, we want to be there for you, want to answer any questions you have, and things are changing. So it's going to be like, what do I do now? What do things in the news mean? Feel free to email us as well as to message us on social media or now live, and we can get your questions answered. And then, so for this week, what's coming up today is basically an intro, and I'm going to cover some of the immunity stuff about what's happening in the news, what does it mean, new habits and things. But tomorrow we have my friend Cafe. She has been in the West Palm Beach area for I think over 20 years. She was originally from New York. She's a master esthetician trainer, and she's going to talk to us about things about like how to take care of your face at home, basically, with things like mask irritation and breakouts and all that stuff that we are having to deal with without having the help of an esthetician. We do have online consults that we're setting up, but Cafe will be a great resource for you guys, and she's local and she's fabulous. But on Wednesday we have LaCorey.
But I want you guys to know that Dr. Gill is she never like talks about her expertise and her like who she is. Like, you guys, her and I had this alignment that is an incredible integrity and an incredible collaboration that her expertise of like graduating in the 99th percentile. Tell me again, then what percentile at Johns Hopkins?
Oh, Johns Hopkins wasn't percentile, but that was just
she's just she won't ever promote herself, but you want to talk about somebody who is incredibly knowledgeable, incredibly talented, and incredibly full of integrity, and align that with what our business as Muse MediSpa is founded in. We are about to be pretty unstoppable. So she's a cranial facial plastic surgeon. She's also a wellness expert. She has trained in Guatemala and in Egypt, and I don't know all of your background. Studied in at Johns Hopkins, and I mean, you know your accolades more than I do. So, but you refuse to tell people about them. And
I just want to say, for the immunity side of things, I have done like research in basic science at NIH for over 3 years, in Pittsburgh for over 2 years, and both of those are great institutions, and as well as having the master's in biotech from Hopkins. So I have a good solid grounding in immunity, and so that's why I'm like the resident expert on that. But we will get other people in as well to talk about immunity over the course of this time. But it's a cool subject, but it is so relevant. If you can prevent getting sick or minimize getting sick, it is so important these days. And Pamela is wonderful. She doesn't. She's
I talk about myself all the time. So.
So she's a huge connector, huge heart, very upbeat, and also very skilled businesswoman. She worked in energy, of all things, for years, power plants and things, but now she's seen the light and is all about glam and making us feel good and look good. So over to Pam.
And it is actually combining the energy internally with the medical. And that's what Muse, like our business of our business name is Muse, and Dr. Gill's business name is Pulsar Health. And so she's in Palm Beach, and we are in Boca Raton downtown. And a Muse is actually the alignment of science and beauty that portrays a person's exquisiteness and elusiveness, alluring attraction. So that's what we're going to be, and we're going to be integrity, honest, authentic, and bring you guys the best that we can bring. Absolutely no intention to gain, just to serve. So back to what we have on the lineup. I just didn't want to skip over your talent.
Thank you.
Yeah. So for Wednesday this week, this is a month of different things we're going to do, and each week we have different topics. Get on our Facebook event to get each week's lineups. Wednesday will be my most trusted massage therapist, who, you guys, I've got massages like my whole life, like as long as I can remember. And I have never experienced a massage until like the way I did with this guy, who doesn't just give you, it's the same thing with every person he puts his hands on. He actually has this way of finding where your blockages are and spending time on that rather than just doing his thing that he did, and he's tall and strong and has leverage, and I'm a tall woman that needs leverage of a person with the strength to do that. And I've talked with him about, how do you not take that negative energy into your own soul, like this slimy, ball of energy that we have is stress. And when you take it out of me, where does it go? Energy goes somewhere. He has just a way of finding it, taking it, releasing it, and he's cool with that.
So it's awesome. So hopefully he'll have some great tips for people on how to feel good at home, what we can do. And then on Thursday is the lady who was part of Pamela's first date with her husband. And she's an extraordinary chef. I'll let Pamela tell you about her.
This woman that we're going to share with you on Thursday has a heart that is bigger than any heart I can explain. Joseph, my husband, and I put him to the test by taking him to this cooking school class as one of our first dates. And at that first date, she has a cooking school in Fort Lauderdale. She had a trip on the Ionian Sea in this little cruise. It was a small cruise, quite expensive. That was a cooking exploration. So not only that night did my husband eat cilantro and chopped cilantro, which he's opposed to because he's Italian and I'm Texan, but we also got engaged on a volcano in Italy on this exploration cruise with this woman and her team. And she knew about him proposing to me before I did. So she's been a part of my life, and she's been a part of my heart for a long time. And
I heard she's going to tell us a secret ingredient, so I'm excited.
It is the ingredient of the reason why she matters so much to me.
And then on Friday is Fitness Fridays, but Pamela has a little surprise for us this Friday. This Friday, and listen, like every week we have different. Oh, my Lenora is joining us right now on here. This Friday might be a taboo topic, and if it is, I apologize, but it's been quite eye-opening for me that we have should I just say it? At home FDA favored, the only FDA favored vaginal rejuvenation device. And we're not going to say any more about it until Friday. And I will talk a little bit about O shots and P shots from when the offices are back open. But we'll talk about immunity now because we're already 10 minutes in, so we've only got little bit to go. So for immunity, if you want us guys start asking questions, feel free to ask questions on the webinar or the IG Live. I'm just going to cover 2 or 3 different things. One is, how are we going to integrate back into society? What do they mean by like herd immunity, about your tests? What does all that mean right now? And sort of some kind of habits that we need to start instituting, because I think it is a time when we can reassess where we're at and create better, healthier habits. And that's the whole point of this startup series, is to begin again and to use it as an opportunity to go down a better path, have the new normal be a better normal. So I wanted to, do you have a question, Pamela?
No, I just wanted to add to that, you know, I want to know how many people want to go back to their old normal and how many people want to be a better normal, because our old normal got us here, right? Mm-hmm. So our new normal, our better normal, is going to be a more awakened normal.
Yeah, some things are going to be different. Like we can't hug, we can't shake hands, you know, for right now until it gets better.
It's hard.
And so things are going to be different. The way we relate is going to be different. Some things are better because things are a lot cleaner. You know, everybody's like wiping down everything. So some things are better, and so it is different. I wanted to talk a little bit about habits real quick, and then we can talk a little bit more about other stuff, because my concern is people are relying a lot on the antibody tests and the herd immunity, and they might let go of things that prevent them from getting the virus. And we can't let go of the habits. The habits are going to be the protection. Just to tell you a little bit about herd immunity, have you heard of herd immunity, Pamela? Do you know what herd immunity is?
That is something I actually have a conflict in my heart about, because that is, in my opinion, sacrificing other people or putting them exposure wise. And I don't want to have a political discussion, but herd immunity is when we know that there is a weapon out there, or I don't even want to call it a weapon. We know that there is give me the word right now. There's a liability, a fear, or a something, and we choose to expose a herd in order to.
Yeah, so it kind of assumes that enough people have coronavirus that those who don't are going to be are not going to be affected, because everybody else has immunity to the virus, so there isn't enough virus around to infect the few people who don't. But a herd immunity requires 70 to 90% of people to have the disease or the vaccination. So are we going to wait till 70 to 90% of people get corona? I don't think so. So herd immunity doesn't really apply to us right now. It applies when we have a vaccine. And even when we have a vaccine, like we had herd immunity from measles, mumps, polio, and chickenpox. But when people started vaccinating less and less, for example, in 2019, we had that measles outbreak at Disney. So herd immunity requires like a minimum number of people to get vaccinated. So we can't rely on that. One, we don't even have a vaccine, but even when we do, you're going to expose a whole lot of people to corona, and it's not right now. Only like one town in Germany has 15% of people positive, but there isn't that much prevalence in the population. There's not that many people who have corona that we can rely on herd immunity. The other thing that they talked about was relying on these immunity certificates for testing, like these passports on apps on your phone. And I know you've been talking with somebody, Pamela, about that too. Do you want to say a little bit about that?
Yeah. I mean, antigen testing, right? So it's not a diagnostic test. It isn't to say, hey, you know, you have it or you've had it and you're never going to get it again. There's all these different mutated strains of it that are out there, but it is the best, fastest source of screening right now. of just seeing, have you been exposed? Are you actively with one of the strains of the virus, which is the most common strain of it? And at what phase of that are you in? But that doesn't give you the golden ticket to say that you're never going to be susceptible to it again. It's just similar to a pregnancy test that, women, when they miss a period or whatever, they take an at-home test and it just says you have positive, negative. And then you go get your diagnostic test. But because you have this test that said that this is what you have, you now have more access to the diagnostic test rather than overwhelming our laboratories that can't control or I'm lots of words. They can't actually process all of these tests as fast as they need to do in order to maintain the quality and reliability of the results. So
right. So
looking at just a screening test is an important thing, and that's what these antigen tests are about.
so the screening test, there's
I'm having a drink of water.
There's a couple of different types of screening tests, and I talked about this on a podcast, but one of the screening tests is a finger prick test. It looks at your antibodies for IgM and IgG. IgM comes first. The M is like mother. It takes about a few days to start, and the IgG takes about another week to start. The G is like the go-getters. And so these antibodies are formed in response to the coronavirus antigen. And the antibodies respond to the particular parts in the coronavirus, the outside part or the inner part, so what they pick up on the coronavirus are different parts of the virus itself. Now the virus has mutated, so there's at least 3 strains. So the antibodies that you have that get picked up on the test may or may not be with this strain. That's why Pamela was saying that it is not you have antibodies on the test, you're good to go. However, the concern is that might be how it's treated by people, like if you want to get public transportation, if you want to go into a bar, if you want to go back to work, they might ask you for this. And so we just have to have a level of acceptance that although you may have antibodies on this that imply that you've had corona, it doesn't mean that you won't get a different strain of corona. It doesn't mean that you're protected, but you are safer than most people because you've now had and survived the corona if your screening test is positive. You also
right. If I could just, because I'm not medically licensed or whatever, I'm on the business side and like corporate whatever, and I try to in my head go, what's the simplest way for me to understand this? So all of us have known for years that there's like flu vaccines, right? And so every flu vaccine is for the strain of the flu from the year before. So it doesn't actually protect us from the strain of the current flu. It protects us and reduces our susceptibility to the new strain because the flu is constantly mutating. Corona is mutating very quickly and can be dormant and contagious for 2 weeks pretty much. So that's why the factor is so dangerous with it. So by getting this antigen test, what it does is tell you, are you actively infected because you have an IgM reaction in your cells? Are you actively having a corona issue with that particular strain, but no symptoms yet? And then the IgG, which you're required 7 to 10 days after getting the IgM test, the first test, to see, have you now developed antigens for being past the active infection, but only with that one strain. which makes you less susceptible to other strains, and you're no longer contagious, but it doesn't mean you're protected from the other strains, correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
So we don't have any questions yet. Remember, you can ask questions on the webinar Q&A or on the live IG.
We have a lot of people on our Instagram live, and unfortunately, you guys will figure out how to get the interaction here on this.
On the IG, and then we can read your comments.
We'll figure it out, and everybody's waving, and I don't know how. I'm not like that savvy. If any of you guys know how to like do that, let us know. We're just trying to get information to you. I do want you to know the fact if you register, you will win or be entered to win a $500 gift certificate, either your choice of Dr. Gill's Plastic Surgery and Wellness Center or Muse MediSpa's Aesthetic Center in Boca. And the more you interact with us, the more over this next month, the more chances you have to win. We'll get all these logistics figured out in the next day or two. But
so cool. So good luck with winning. But for right now, I just wanted to follow up on what we were saying about the test. If your test is positive, you should get a diagnostic test, which measures the levels of antibodies in the blood. As far as who goes back to work and who doesn't, if you're pregnant or you have serious medical conditions, I would seriously think about how can you work remotely for as long as possible before you have to re-enter the workplace.
Or if you are in close contact in your home with somebody who has a high risk situation that you might expose to whatever you're exposed to. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. So
yeah, you have to protect your loved ones too.
Right.
Then there's what kind of things, activities do you start going back to now that we're having our soft openings? You want to be aware of activities where there's aerosol generated, things like where there's a lot of sweat in gyms or like there's a lot of like heavy breathing. So you have to be careful when there are a lot of people around you too. There's a concept in martial arts called Zanshin. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it is an awareness of your surroundings. And so even when you go to the grocery store, if you can avoid the crowded aisle and sort of be where there's less people, those kind of things are going to be helpful habits just to start developing inside you. Also the kind of habits that a lot of people have had for years, like having your shoes and indoor shoes at the door so you can switch when you get there. Unfortunately, the way that the checkouts work, they used to have like a hand sanitizer like at Target checkouts, but they're all disappeared because everybody wants the sanitizers. So you can take your own and have people sanitize their hands, but the best bet is when you get things come home, that's when you can clean them or sanitize them. You can use soap and water on many things because the virus has a lipid layer and the detergent in the soap can disrupt that. So you don't always have to use alcohol. Obviously, if it's something electronic, I would use like something alcohol-based or disinfectant-based rather than soap and water. But you want to maintain those habits and teach your children those habits too, so that it becomes automatic. Other things that are important are like what you're eating, and we are going to talk about nutrition more as we go forward. But with the eating, you do not want to start a very low calorie diet because you need your immune system to be to have all the cofactors, vitamins, and things it needs to fight any kind of infection. You want to have a good gut microbe because your gut microbacteria are part of your immune response. So for that, the best thing to do is to have a wide variety of vegetables. Make sure you get those vegetables in your diet, and hopefully.
And can I comment on that, because it's such a passion of both of ours to understand that our immunity right now, our most like strongest weapon and shield, truthfully, if we go back in times and think how do people survive and protect, is our own bodies and health and immunity, right? And the way that starts is with our gut. And when we have an imbalance, which a lot of us do right now because we're resorting to comfort things, and we have higher levels of stress and anxiety, which is amping up our responses in our hormone levels. So it's making us actually be more susceptible and weakening our ability to protect. So mindfulness.
Yeah, and that's part of why this series is we are going to be teaching, having our guests come teach us things to reduce our stress level, help with mindfulness, help with all these different things that we can do to have a better diet. And even with the irritation from the face masks, Kathy will talk about how to prevent that, because you don't want to disrupt your skin barrier. Actually, here I have something called Ionic Supreme that has adaptogens in it, and adaptogens are good for stress. So all sorts of strange things that you can find that are useful that you didn't know about. It's a time of discovery. One thing
it's a time of virtual
coming together.
Is not the same as physical hugs, but community and love, you know?
Yeah.
So.
But no smooches, because I wanted
to no smooch, just virtual smooch.
I wanted to share with you about the mask, because this really disturbs me.
Do you have a bling bling mask? Do you really have a bling bling?
It's not bling bling. This is one I got for the lasers. But I wanted to know how to find a good mask, because if nothing else, at least that would be helpful, huh? So if you can get a mask that fits well, you have to cover your nose. If you don't cover your nose, like when I was a student one time in the OR, I saw a guy have like a drop of stuff coming out of his nose, and it went plop down onto the OR table. I was like, oh, but I couldn't say anything. I was a student. But there's no point wearing a mask if you don't cover your nose. Well, it helps a little with your mouth, but you have to cover your nose. So try and go at least like a third or halfway up your nose, and it has to fit snugly. The other thing is that
and the mask is not because that's going to protect you from getting infected. That's to protect you possibly infecting other people.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. And the other thing you could do is you can get these pockets, or make a pocket in the mask, and you can get these filters. Now, the N95 filters are the ones that I mailed my mom. I can't get them anymore, but
we can't get them. We're in medical offices, like we can't even order. These supplies are like not accessible anymore.
Yeah, but you can buy these off Amazon. These are PM 2.5. I checked yesterday. You can still get these. They're better than nothing. They're not the N95s, but they're filters that you can then put inside your mask, and that will help some.
We'll provide all of these like links and things that we're recommending on that Facebook event page, right?
Yeah, we have no financial interest in these masks. I'm just trying to find ways to help. And
I don't even know if we have permission to promote them. We just want to help.
Never helps. And so we're almost out of time, but I just wanted to make sure that we do use our precautions, but not have our loved ones and us be in social isolation. We do need to respect social distance, but make sure we reach out to each other and that we're okay. And, thank God for phones and internets, we can at least connect that way. So
it's a time to shift and pivot. I will say, and I don't know if anybody else has experienced this, so maybe it's just my vulnerability, but whenever I'm going out and I have those masks on, I'm having a little anxiety about really being able to breathe and talk and feeling hot, and it's very uncomfortable. It's like super uncomfortable. Yeah. So by putting those on, and they're not even when I'm wearing them out, they're not a medical grade that we really, really, really need, but we can't get our hands on. I don't know how our front line workers are doing what they're doing with all of this protective gear on and still able to be so present and so heartfelt and so, you know what I mean? I'm having a hard time just wearing one to the grocery store. So, you've been in the medical practice for a long time. Is that something that people ever experience, like a little anxiety or anything wearing?
Definitely. The N95s or the more snug fitting masks are induce that more than just the regular looser masks. But the snugger it is, the more protective it is for airborne things. But it is if you're exercising hard, I wouldn't use a mask because you might not get enough oxygen. You know,
Right.
you don't want to be pushing yourself and like
It's a conundrum because we're supposed to be getting out and getting our, fresh air and our, you know, sunshine and our anxieties out. But then if we have to be doing that with a mask on, that isn't allowing, it's just such a,
and I think the best thing to do is, and it is for protecting other people, is if you have symptoms, like if you've got a sore throat, if you have got a cough, if you've got a fever, just don't go and expose other people to it. You know, our threshold for like still pushing through and going to work has to change. You have to be mindful of exposing other people. So change. So if you are at risk, just don't go. Make sure the timing of your appointments is when it's spread out, so that you're not having people cross each other. And as businesses, we're going to have new policies that say don't come in and space our appointments further apart. Make sure we have an exact cleaning regimen between people. So it's going to shift everything, but it's not necessarily a bad thing because cleaning is better. You know, it's better to have a cleaner environment.
Right. And so I know we're out of time for today. We will get this whole technology thing worked out so that IG Live has us both on here. But I did want to also add that Dr. Gill does have the ability, and our aligned community here that we're doing has the ability to offer telemed services. So if you have any conditions that you're concerned about and would like to have a telemed, appointment, or need prescriptions filled that you can't get into your doctor or don't want to take the risk, I would love to share a story about Dr. Gill's commitment and who she helped the other night free of charge with a spouse that had to take her husband to the ER. And Dr. Gill called her just to be reassurance of this is what I can tell you based on I know. And then I got a message a week later from that person saying everything Dr. Gill told me is exactly what my husband was told and prescribed and diagnosed with. And her reassurance and comfort and availability made all the difference when you have to drop your spouse off in the parking lot of an ER. So we are here for you like that. And we won't just prescribe stuff, but we are available if you can't get to your practice to do it. And we can, review and talk HIPAA compliant on a telemed to help you.
Yeah, we're here for you. Please feel free to reach out to us. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
We'll get it all figured out by tomorrow. Okay. And thanks.
Bye-bye.